And hello and welcome to the Living Truth channel. Today is August 20th, 2025. This is recording 877, entitled, Here Am I. Here Am I. I'm going to start out with a statement, a question and then a statement. What does it take to reach heaven? Will we reach it in bodily form, or will we reach it in consciousness, awareness? God is not coming to aid me, meaning God is not coming just to deliver me from situation to situation. But in reality, I am the representation of all that God is. All that the Father has is mine, and all that He has given unto me. In reality, all that makes God what God is, I am. Now let's look at that. Go back into the question. What does it take to reach heaven? Well, once we come into the realization that there is only one life, that life is that life we call God. It is all intelligent, it is everywhere present, and it is all powerful. It fills everything that we call space, or it fills everything, it's everywhere. So, the man who lives under the bridge, or the homeless man living back in the alleys, that's the one life of God, but it has been conditioned by that particular person to believe that they are something that has been lost to mankind, something that's been left out, something that has no comfort, but yet and still, the scriptures say, if I make my bed in hell, lo, thou art there. Anytime that person comes to the understanding or realization that there is a God and that God's purpose is to help or to raise him up in awareness, the slightest movement in his conscious awareness will move him higher. He may move from under the bridge to a shelter. He may move from the shelter to a home where he can work or better himself, or even into school. But he has to come to that awareness. There are those who believe that they're going to see loved ones in heaven. There are those that believe that they're going in bodily form. And we can attest to that because if we look at Jesus, it appears that he took his body with him. But then again, he also was aware in his consciousness of the truth. And he knew the truth that God is the awareness of every person. So therefore, he went from the awareness of wherever he was at 12 years old to the fullness of the understanding of the conscious awareness of God. He realized, here am I, Lord, send me. You see, man's journey is to culminate with a firm understanding of truth and reality. This Jesus called heaven. When questioned, he said, don't look for it here or don't look for it there, because it's all around you, but more importantly, it's within you. Now, if you were able to establish yourself in this place called heaven, what would you need? What would you look for? It's like What you have in consciousness, you own. What you own is yours. In your home, if you know something is there, then you can go and use it, utilize it. But if you don't know whether you have it or not, you may have to what? Leave your home to possess it. But once you possess it in your consciousness first. You own it, and then it's yours. So man is on this journey to the height and maturity of Jesus Christ. I'm quoting Ephesians chapter 4. But yet many men, many women believe that they're doing the best they can in this place called earth, and one day they're going to have enough points that they will be able to walk through some doors, some open doors, and be welcomed into what they call a kingdom called heaven. Jesus says, don't look for it there. Look for it within. And the only place that you can look for it within is in your consciousness. Even if you don't know, you have to open your consciousness up and say, I am willing to be objective to receive the result of what it is I'm looking for. When we find the place called heaven, this is the place where there is no mystery or misunderstanding of what is true. Here comes another scripture. To him that hath will much more be given. Look at how the world looks at that. They see it as, if I got this, I'm going to get more of that things. And yet the scriptures say, lay not up for yourself treasure in the earth, because you're going to leave them all here. But lay them up in what? Heaven. Where is heaven? Within. Lay them up within your awareness. See, that's why whatever you're learning right now, when our span of time is over here and we leave, you're going to carry those golden nuggets with you. You don't have to worry about whether you'll lose them. Why? Because they're in consciousness. They're in awareness. This is what Jesus said or referred to as eternal life. To know God aright. If I know the truth of God, then I also know the truth of heaven, and I know the truth of myself. It is said that there is a veil that hides our understanding, but it opens to the pure seeker. Practically speaking, man hides behind his stony persona or personage. He hides behind it. What do I mean by that? He builds up walls of offense and defense to make himself respected or appear confident, and he hides behind those. It's a great stone of disbelief. A great stone of disbelief. What was the great stone that hid what was behind the grave of Lazarus? Yeah, you know. There is no death. But the stone stood there, appearing or making the appearance of death a reality. And Jesus said, what? Roll the stone away. What is he actually saying? Remove that which hides the truth, because if God fills all space, then God was on the outside of the stone and God was on the inside of the gravesite. The question is now, who will remove or roll away that great stone of death and disbelief? Only truth can do so. Man's senses have placed him on a path that God calls good and evil. The pursuit of truth, truthful knowledge, is the only measure that can move the stone away. The pursuit of truth. And just practically speaking, think about the fact that when you set out to learn something, you have to pursue the formula behind that thing. Not so much the actual thing that makes this specific thing work, but the formula that makes it work when you pursue that specific thing or that type of thing in any endeavor. So the pursuit of knowledge reveals truth. Once that truth is revealed to you, it lodges itself in your conscience. And being lodged in your conscience, who owns your conscience? You do. So every time that you ask a question in that vein, your conscience is going to spit out that truth because you own it. You don't have to walk around remembering it. It is going to reveal itself. And it also reveals a grand revelation. Nothing can hide truth. Now think about as you walk around dwelling in the understanding that nothing can hide truth from you. All is mine. You don't have to wonder if it's coming. Why? Because if you can own that understanding, then that understanding is going to reveal to you all things. You don't have to know where it is, when it is, how, what. You just need to know I own this truth. And this truth will reveal itself. Why? Because all that God is within me. All that God is, I am. Why? Because God is the only existence. Look at that. That's something to own, isn't it? I didn't say walk around and shout out to the world, I am God, I know all things. No. You keep them within yourself. And when you are able to understand, what did Jesus say? As a grain of mustard seed. Oh my gosh, you mean, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. When you can say, oh yeah, a grain of mustard seed. What happens to the mustard seed? It grows up into a tree in which the fowls of the earth come and lodge themselves. The ideas that fly around, they lodge in your consciousness, and this truth spreads throughout the land. What land? Not the outer world. The land is your consciousness. That truth spreads infinitely within you, and you know all things, but you don't have to specifically know all things, because the fact that you know that all intelligence is within you, then it has to come and reveal itself. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. I'm quite sure, as I've said before, Moses had no idea that the Red Sea was going to open up. Moses had no idea that the pillar cloud, a cloud was going to hover over them by day, and the fiery cloud or the fiery pillar was going to guard them by night. But what did he do? He knew that he had the conscious awareness of the presence of God. The Spirit, loosed in the earth, shall work with all that believe with great signs and wonders. The knowledge of God shall fill the earth. Now you can see how the prophets were able to walk and not be afraid, because they had touched They had touched this glorious place. And the Bible calls that place the Sabbath, whereas most of mankind calls the Sabbath a particular day. But that Sabbath is that day of rest, that day when you realize that you have been delivered from all hurt, harm, and endangerment. He who has entered into communion with the Lord has ceased to worry. That's your Sabbath. And this Sabbath, Jesus called an eternal celebration. You see, the entrance of truth is a devastation to that which is erroneous. It immediately gives understanding. When truth is seen, it fills all space and authority. It is seen as all wise, all knowing, all powerful, and everywhere present. I need you to think back to that day where you thought you knew something, and someone else came up and told you it was otherwise, and you two are going back and forth until they hit that point that you realize, oh, that's it. You know that feeling? What happened to what you believed up to that point? It just totally evaporated. It just totally put itself in the wind and was gone. In fact, I was speaking to one of my friends today, and during the course of the conversation, he got a revelation, and he could hardly stay on the phone because he says, man, I see this. My head is swimming and my body is on fire. And I said, go be with the Lord. Go be with the Lord. You see, when truth announces itself, it obliterates everything that is unlike it. We need to understand that. It just totally destroys it. So what does it take to reach heaven? Only your consciousness can decide how much you have and what are you willing to do to get more. Now, there is a much overlooked quality expressed in the biblical writings that I believe must be brought to our attention. And also, there is another that has become prevalent in our earthly experience that appears just the opposite. The first is that there is a seeker of that which is holy and right. The other is he who seeks the aid of that which is powerful and able to help him when he requests aid. As we look deeply into the two, we find that the latter group, those who are seeking deliverance, things, manifestation, they receive aids, sometimes miraculous, but their nature does not change much. They still are the same person that they were prior to requesting aid, and yet after receiving the aid, they are satisfied in the moment to receive the aid, but they remain the same person that they were. They seem to accept their deliverances as something special, but it requires nothing more than thank you or verbal testimonies. I'll say that again. They believe that the only thing after the deliverance is thank you for helping me. And now I can go tell others how you helped me. Their attachment remains to possessions, and their focus remains on things yet futuristic that they wish to experience. Their hearts are enlarged with the things of life. Look what the Lord did for me. Look what the Lord gave me. Look how the Lord has sent this. It's always on something external to them. And the scriptures, by the way, these background scriptures that I'm using are Mark chapter 16, Isaiah chapter 6, and Isaiah chapter 42. So you can have reference. But it says that the truth will come, and the truth will come to people, and it will make their hearts fat. And I question, what do you mean make their heart fat? Because their hearts get fat, but they have no understanding. Having eyes they see not, and having ears they hear not, lest they be converted. And I'm like, how can you do that with a fat heart? Well, their heart is fat with promises. Fat with promises. They see things being awarded to them, and they think that's the end of the search. But they never stop to see the Holy One that delivers, that is there all the time. They never become enlightened to the allness of the presence. The one under the bridge may consistently be given food or shelter, but never moves into the conscious awareness of the presence of God with him to provide more. They tend to live from day to day, trying to experience the comforts of the day, but never becoming truly happy or satisfied unless there is some outer symbol to represent their current state of mind. Now let's look at the seeker who seeks only the truth. The scripture speaks to us to enjoy the day that has come unto us. We are to rejoice in the day because it is the day of the Lord. It is the day that the Lord has made, denoting that everything necessary for our comfort and well-being has been implanted within the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in it. In other words, we should not be going through a day going, oh, woe is me. Now, I'm not saying that there will not something pop up that may cause you to go, oh, no. But we should immediately do what? This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. What am I doing? I am now stating that whatsoever is necessary to get over what is facing me has already been put in this day, that I might rejoice in it. In other words, the table is set with everything that is necessary to fulfill our need or appetite for the day. You notice I said need or appetite? Yeah, I know you were taught same way I was taught. God will give you what you need, not what you want. No, God didn't say that. He said, whatsoever you ask in my name, meaning in the understanding of what I have afforded you, that shall you have in the day. That means also in the night, what we call night. Why? Because the day of the Lord never ends. We see that this seeker has opened unto his understanding the grandeur of the spirit world. Boom. And I was in the day of the Lord, and the word of the Lord came unto me, And I saw the Lord high and lifted up, and his train did fill the temple. This is Isaiah. And I was immediately pushed back and realized, oh Lord, you do feel everything. Where is he seeing God? He's seeing God in his consciousness. He's seeing him in his awareness. And now he sees the splendor. How does he see it? How can you see? Oh, I see. That's what he's saying. Lord, you are it. There is nothing else. His heart is now made ready to commune with his maker. His natural senses are bypassed, and he is humbled before the Lord's majesty. Oh Lord, I am a man of unclean lips. I think I've said this before. He's not saying I use bad language. He's not saying I use cussing language or cursing language. He's saying, oh my God, Lord, I have spoken things that I realize that are not true. I have spoken things that appear on the path of good and evil, and I realize I don't know anything, because right now I'm looking at you and I don't want to know anything but you. There is but one power, and it immediately reveals our smallness. Remember what I said about the person who showed you the truth about something, and it immediately registered in you, and you went, oh yeah, that's got to be the truth. When you see God, that which you believe to be you or yours is immediately smacked down. This seeker places his heart on the altar. And the angel of the Lord comes and places a coal on your lips, purifying your speech, purifying your innards. Think, if this had been physical, he would not have had lips. And he said he placed a coal on my lips, which means he is now purifying. And that's where, in a sense, many go wrong, because they believe that they have been empowered to go out and tell the story about God. But in reality, they can only, most people now that speak about God, they speak about God. They do not speak from the coals that have purified their consciousness. They tell you a story about a great God, but they cannot prove to you that that God is communing with them. But when that coal is placed on your lips and that scroll is given to you to eat, remember that scroll is the presence of God entering into the habitation of his creation. The Lord is causing his truth to rest in a vessel now ready for service. This truth will set free all that have been held in mental and physical captivity. The servant does not set out now to make himself known, but shall find resting upon him the Spirit of truth. How can the Spirit rest on me? Because it's the Lord. The servant is now realizing that, oh my gosh, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. It has anointed me too. I pay no attention now to what I think I ought to do. I don't have to take thought, because the Spirit is now resting to give me the words to speak. He does not set out to correct people. It's the judgment of truth that's within him becomes his shield and his buckler. Be not afraid. I have sent thee. I am with thee. Oh my gosh. That's why the prophets were able to go forth in confidence. That's why they were able to go and speak what thus saith the Lord. And then you'll see a story, a part of a story where, remember where Elijah goes and overcomes the 450 prophets of Baal? And the presence of God is with him, but he comes out of that presence, and Jezebel sends a threat, and he runs. And after he tires of running and puts himself in a cave, he gets quiet, and what happens? The word of the Lord, the presence of the Lord comes back and says, hey, Elijah, did you forget? Said, did you forget? That's why Jesus says, he who dwells, or David says, dwell in the secret place. The Lord is thy high tower. He is thy shield and buckler, and we do it until it becomes second nature to us. You always give out counsel, wise counsel, and guidance. Called to purpose, this one shall rest in truth's dominion. He shall be for a confirmation of the covenant, opening the eyes of them that do not understand, and setting free those imprisoned in the darkness of their mind. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. The darkness, the ignorance within them, is not able to overcome the light that is destined to shine from within. A new song will be sung, for they that behold truth will understand it and be set free. This one, this seeker who goes for the Lord, he shall be able to reveal the Father to all those that are seeking. Remember the scripture? The Son is in the bosom of the Father, and it is the Son that reveals the Father. With his heart placed on the altar, all iniquities and shortcomings are taken away. His thoughts, his speech, and his understanding are purified. Purged from sin, he now receives the call to go forth as an instrument of God's grace. This seeker, this one who has placed himself on the altar of God, will now speak words that separate the believer and the unbelievers. He will give the people much to contemplate. That is my responsibility. Not to tell you exactly how you should live for God, but to give you much to contemplate, that you might be able to prove for yourself. Because as I tell people all the time, it does not matter what people tell you about God, even if it's working for them, and you know it's working for them, it will not work. You will not believe it until it works for you. And then once it works for you, then it will be no longer that person telling you the possibilities of this. You will own it. It's yours. And now you will speak from a confident knowing. He will give, as I said, people much to contemplate. He will consistently and always give wise counsel. Some will hear and be confounded. Some will hear, and the grace of what they hear will rest in their heart, making it so. Seeing the holiness and the wholeness of God filling all space, this one is empowered to speak with boldness and confidence. He is not moved by what he sees or hears, for he is completely aware of his Maker being the only existence. I had to put this into practice yesterday, and I'll tell you right off, it's not easy. For you're walking the streets and you're looking at people, and you're trying your best not to come up with an interpretation of what you're looking at, but you're listening to Paul say, henceforth know we no man after the flesh. And you're looking at people and saying, there's only the presence of God. And you are bringing your conscious awareness and speaking words that are befitting to that belief. And all of them don't respond the way you would want, but it's not up to them to respond. It's up to us to consciously own our belief. The Lord is high and lifted up, and that's the way we walk, regardless of what people say or do. And it's not easy, I'll tell you. But he's high and lifted up. His train and presence fills all the earth. It is that holy seed placed within us that reveals this to us. I believe that the Lord is seeking the true seeker, the one that will allow him entrance that all of creation might be purified. Not only with coals of fire on the lips, correcting our language, but that our soul, our inner being, would be filled with the mystery that has been hid throughout the ages. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So as you sit and contemplate, believe that the Lord will reveal himself. Believe that the stone will be rolled away from the death that we hold within. Believe that the veil will be removed that appears to hide the truth. So when the presence of the Lord does come to us, and the voice comes and says, or comes and asks, who will go for me? Who can I send? I will reply, here am I, Lord. Send me.